Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing great. Today, the story we will dive into is my ex a narcissist? Our relationship was healthy, and I, 28 male, can say that with confidence. At least it was healthy until the cheating. My ex, 24 female, bought a house with me, and before we closed on the property, she cheated with her coworker, 25 male, who was also in a relationship for 9 years with his ex. I was going to tell his ex, but he phoned me up to tell me to stay out of his relationship, and bad things would happen if I did. Took no accountability and victimized himself. Said I couldn't tell his girlfriend because she was having a hard time in life, etc. My ex-girlfriend went to her parents and blocked him. During this time, he called her on 3 different phones to get her to answer. Called her a loose woman and said he could never trust her. Apologized the next day saying his girlfriend forced him to say that. Threatened to go to HR and throw her under the bus. Apologized and made some excuse for that too. Then my ex and I broke up and she said she was going to start dating him because I guess the coworker's ex finally left him. Her explanation came from a Taylor Swift song saying, "I was the perfect guy, but I miss screaming and fighting and kissing in the rain." Then said they were going to move in together right away. Said she loved him and couldn't imagine a life without him. She wasn't allowed to stay in the apartment with me, but he was allowed to stay in his apartment with his ex. They broke up once already because of that. My ex was crying and pulling her hair, saying he was a jealous and controlling jerk. He apologized again, and she went back to him. Since then, she would text me saying she loved and missed me. She said these things especially when things were not going well with him. And she would try calling saying she was worried about me. Lastly, she called last week for emotional support when her dog died. Does she give off narcissistic vibes? Is he a narcissist? I'm confused. Not sure if she is a narcissist, but the guy she left you for definitely is. She is addicted to toxic love, like one of those girls who leave a stable life because it's boring to them. You should never have given her a second chance. Things between them will never work out, and she will be running back to you. So don't fall for that BS again. And now to the update. So recap, ex cheated on me, said she wanted to work things out. A week later, she cheated again and left me for her toxic coworker. Last week, she sent me this text. Hi, this is a very random request and you can 100% say no and I would understand completely, but I was hoping we could talk on the phone sometime. There are some things I want to say to you and apologize for, but I understand if that would be detrimental to your healing. I actually wrote you a letter but didn't send it because I didn't want to make you read something you didn't want to. Let me know. I am free to talk whenever you'd have me. I did not respond. Truthfully, I was waiting to talk to my therapist before deciding what to do. Reddit was very strong on not responding, so that's what I did. 5 days later, I get this text this morning. Hi again. I'll take that as a no. I totally understand and respect that, of course. If it makes a difference, I'm not with him anymore, and I'm not trying to get you to give me another chance. I just want to talk and tell you that you were right, and to try to get and give you some closure. Again, I understand if you don't want to, and I won't ask again after this. Wishing you the best. I'm very conflicted. Like, firstly, she hasn't gotten the hint to leave me alone or give me time to think. And I still see this as selfish as her just wanting to absolve guilt. But part of me wants to talk. And as I expected from the last message, she and the other guy are done. But who knows? They could have just broken up last week, and now she's just running back to me. I knew they wouldn't last, but seeing this confirmation doesn't make me happy. Just sad because all the pain and suffering was essentially for nothing. And for those of you who tell me to block her, I can't. We bought a house and have to stay in contact until that's all done. Even her motives for contacting you are selfish. She is contacting you to ease her own guilt, and I think she is hoping to convince you to reconcile. I know it's tempting to talk with her, but remember, you will not get any closure. And let's jump to the second update. Last I spoke, my ex, Megan, texted me and wanted to call to apologize. I ignored the text and got another text a few days later saying she wasn't with the guy she cheated with anymore, Zach, and wished me the best of luck. Many of you told me not to respond for many reasons, such as she was still being selfish, trying to weasel her way back, etc. All reasons I 100% understand and agree with. Many will be disappointed, but I did eventually accept a phone call from her. I had my own personal reasons to do so, and only did it after speaking to my therapist to make sure I was in a good mental space. So during the call, she started off by apologizing, saying I didn't deserve anything that happened to me and that I was a good boyfriend. That I was right about Zach, and their relationship was worse than I could have imagined. I doubted that because I imagined it to be pretty awful. She says it was an emotionally abusive relationship and the police got involved. So I got lots of confirmation from the hunches I had. There were times and specific days I wondered if she physically cheated earlier in the relationship. She said she never was physical with him any time before and was willing to provide texts and photo evidence if requested. I denied seeing the evidence as I thought there was no point now. She explained that her relationship with him started as friends at work that had good banter. She basically liked the attention he gave her, and she was wrong to not stop it right away. She felt at the time it was harmless, not knowing how damaging it could be. As I suspected, Zach was always subtly talking down on me while Megan and I were together, putting doubts into her head about me for a long time. She said she was wrong to listen and trusted her friend wouldn't lie to her, and she was only adding to the fire by telling him any details of our personal life. So basically, he was grooming her for a long time and she wasn't smart enough to see it. After that, she went to a therapist. She undoubtedly loved me, but wondered if something was wrong in our relationship, if she could develop a connection with another man. And she had a bad therapist who never told her to communicate with me. She was a yes therapist who just encouraged her to follow her feelings. After therapy, she said she knew those feelings were wrong and didn't think anything would happen with Zach because he was dating his girlfriend, Kat, age 27, and she wanted to start her life with me and agreed to buy a house with me. Everything in our relationship was great, and she had no doubts until her and Zach had a work trip in the city. They each drank and flirted. She invited him to her room so they could drink, and she could feel good with the attention he gave. That was all she intended. Zach then suggested they lay in her bed where he groped her, but she didn't stop him either. I told her I don't believe that's all that happened. To this day, she still swears by what she said. If you read my previous posts, this is where she tells me what happened in the hotel. Zach calls me up to threaten me if I tell Kat. I instantly know what kind of guy he is. At the time, I was worried about what he could do to Megan because he came across abusive and dangerous to me. She stuck by her word and blocked him at this point and stayed away from work. A few days later, he reached out to her on a different number. She didn't shut it down because she found not talking felt like going through a breakup. She missed his attention and was addicted to the dopamine. She confused these feelings of addiction for love. So she texted him for a week behind my back. He told Megan he loved her, and he was the only one that could truly love her, gave her an ultimatum, have sex with him in a hotel, or he would never talk to her again. She felt she had no choice and didn't want to let go of him, so she went. The next day, she tells me immediately what happened. She packed her things and went to her parents for the week. So during that week at her parents', Zach was harassing Megan, saying she was an untrustworthy slut in order to save his relationship, because Kat found out, threatened to expose her at work. He would flip between being an a-hole and telling her that he loved her, and he blew up his relationship to be with her, followed by more ultimatums. He convinced Megan that my relationship with her was dead and to be with him. All this time she was telling me she loved me and was thinking of us. She said she led me on because she was afraid Zach would tell her to F off and she would have no one. She explained that it was selfish and horrible with no excuse. So Megan and I broke up. Zach and Kat apparently broke up. Megan's family was disappointed and hurt. Megan moved into a new apartment while I lived at the house we bought until we could sell it. Here's where it gets juicy. Megan and Zach fought all the time. Apparently that was most of their relationship. Megan suggested they be single for a while until they are healthier, to which he said no and gave another ultimatum. Megan was Zach's boss at work. She wanted to let her manager know what was going on so she didn't get in trouble, to which he also said no. Eventually, she did tell her boss and kept things civil by adding Zach on the call too. He was convinced she was trying to destroy his career. During this time, I guess they were dating. Zach would still see Kat and her family to be there for her while she healed, and spent the whole day with her on the anniversary of her father's death. Megan did not like any of this, and brought up that if I asked her for support during an emergency, how would he feel if she helped me? He responded by saying he wouldn't trust her to not have sex with me because she's a needy slut. Kat tried to sabotage Megan's career by bringing up what happened to higher-ups. Megan asked Zach for support while he just did nothing. Megan's family dog died and she stayed with family for a bit. She fought with Zach a lot during this time, made her family very upset, turning the death of a loved one about them. Zach wanted to pick her up at midnight for whatever reason. Megan said no because it was storming outside and didn't want to leave because her parents would worry. He once again gave an ultimatum. Megan's mom was finally able to sleep after the loss of her dog, and Megan woke her up to say she was leaving to be with Zach. Megan's mom apparently freaked out and kicked her out of the house. This is so shocking to me because this was the most gentle and kindest woman I had ever known. It breaks my heart to think Megan's family was pushed to this edge. Zach never told his family about him and Kat breaking up. Kat told them 2 days before Christmas that he cheated on her and he wasn't allowed to show up. Then on New Year's, Zach spent the day with Kat. I think at this point, Megan found out Zach was still living with Kat. He said just as roommates, and that it was completely normal to be living with an ex. Let's be real. He was just trying to juggle two girls at once. If anything, I assume he wanted to be with Kat and saw Megan as a sex toy. At this point, Megan and Zach were still working together. Despite asking their bosses to work on separately, the bosses did not let them. So their work life suffered, made things difficult since Megan was technically his boss. Zach then said he would be silently quitting his job, putting Megan in a crappy spot. Even when he would call in sick and she'd text him a work question, he would respond, "This is my sick day. I'll tell you tomorrow when I feel better." Megan found a new job to get away from that mess. I guess Zach was still convincing her to work things out with him. They probably had broken up a dozen times by now. They would still fight. Apparently, he drove her so crazy she would slap him, which I would say is extremely out of character, since she was gentle and kind when dating me. He would refuse to leave her apartment when they fought, so she'd have to leave. When she told her parents she was back together with him, they flipped out at her. Warms my heart that apparently the father stood up for me and said, "I thought we raised you better than to cheat on Chris. He was such a good guy, and I thought he was going to be my son-in-law." So at the end of February, we find some buyers for the house, and we officially lose possession at the end of May. That is a relief, but I hate to see this house go. Zach and Megan were fighting in his car, and he refused to let her out. Guess she ran out when they got to a traffic light. She ran and sought help from a stranger and jumped into her car. Zach was waiting for Megan at her apartment. She called the police and they escorted him away. Couldn't charge him with anything technically, but they did find it concerning he wouldn't let her leave his car. It was this day apparently she was no longer under his spell, to the point where she felt safer with a stranger than she did with him. She had friends and family stay with her for a bit so she wouldn't spend nights alone. One evening with her mom, he tried opening the apartment door. They called the police again. He was blocked on everything except her email. He kept messaging her to open the door and that he saw a blue car outside and thought I was in there with her. I guess the police escorted him away again and she hasn't heard from him since. She apparently can't get a restraining order because they never lived together or some other stupid rule. I still think the guy is dangerous, and he'll show up years later to harass her again. Megan said I guess he spoke of me a lot during their relationship, which I find amusing. Sounds like an insecure guy, and many times she said she wanted to call me and apologize, but he would never let her, that he was super controlling and possessive. As I suspected, the guy was a narcissist. Apparently, he is back living with Kat, maybe dating again or maybe they never broke up. Makes me mad, though, he could come in and destroy my life and go back to his, although I highly doubt he's happy. Megan just finished off by saying how sorry she was for everything. Never begged for me back or anything, that she regrets not fighting for us or giving me the breakup that I deserved. At this point, she is going to a different therapist, is seeing someone for narcissistic abuse, and is focusing on mending her relationship with her family. I got some satisfaction from the story, but it all sucks everything turned out this way. I'm happy her and Zach are not together because I always did fear him being an abusive nutjob. No matter how much she has hurt me, I don't want to see her in that position. I'm currently looking for an apartment before the house closes, and I would like to date, but dating in this generation sucks so much. I don't have a lot of hope for meeting a good person, especially after being cheated on. It has changed me as a person. I just don't feel like myself anymore. The idea of starting over exhausts me, but I really don't have a choice. I still miss my ex, but that damage is irreversible. I go from hating her one minute to missing her the next. I hope she gets the help she needs. I'm sick of the thought of her marrying someone else one day, having his children, and living the life I originally wanted with her. Thank you for reading my story. Hope this is my last post on the matter because I can't stand any more drama. What a mess. OP, it seems like you're still not over her. Remember what she did to you. She threw everything away to be someone's side piece. Her affair partner might be a monster, but she was the one who allowed all of that. Be glad you don't have any kids with her. Otherwise, it would have complicated the situation. Take some time off from dating. Hit the gym, keep grinding, and heal yourself. Delete everything that reminds you of her. Once you leave the house, you'll start feeling better. Take care, and I wish you good luck, OP. And that's the end of today's saga. Dear viewers, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss out on our content. Until next time, bye-bye.